ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa àwọn ọlọ́pàá ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó wọ́n tún ti declare Sowore wanted o. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n ti declare wanted, wọ́n láwọn ń wá Sowore báyìí. Eléyìí tún ṣẹlẹ̀ lónìí, èní ọjọ́ 3 oṣù kọkànlá ọdún 2025 ló tún ṣẹlẹ̀. Kí ló fà á tí wọ́n fi declare ọ̀gbẹ́ni Ọmọyẹlé Sowore wanted? Ìjọba àwọn ọlọ́pàá ìlú Èkó ni wọ́n náà wọ́n wá Sowore látàrí ìfẹ̀hónúhàn tí Sowore wá ṣe nílùú Èkó lónìí, nítorí pé nílùú Èkó wọ́n ní ìjọba ń wó àwọn ilé kan, àwọn ilé tó sì ń wó yìí kéré Sowore ń jẹ́ kó yé wọn wípé ẹ ò lè máa fi àwọn aráàlú sínú kólóbó láì ṣe pé pèsè nǹkan míì fún wọn. Ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀gá ọlọ́pàá ń sọ wípé àwọn ìjọba ti ń fún àwọn tí ọ̀rọ̀ náà kàn, wọ́n ti fún wọn lówó, wọ́n náà ti fún wọn ní compensation, pé kí wá ní àǹfààní protest tí Sowore tó wá ń ṣe. Ẹ wo ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa, ọ̀rọ̀ ìgbẹ́nu tán gidi ni o. Nígbà tó bá sọ pé wọ́n tún wá Sowore, ẹjọ́ náà ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi, ṣé Sowore ló yẹ kán máa wá ni àbáwọn jàǹdùkú àwọn ọ̀bàyéjẹ́ tó ń bàlú jẹ́? Sowore fúnra rẹ̀ náà ti wá jáde, òun náà ti wá sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ìfiléde tí ọ̀gá ọlọ́pàá sọ yìí. Mo fẹ́ kẹ́ wá lọ gbọ́ ohun tí ọlọ́pàá sọ àti ohun tí Sowore fi dá lóhùn. Ẹ wá lọ gbọ́.
You should report at the nearest police station. I hereby, as the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Police Command, declare Sowore wanted. I declare him wanted for the act of causing disturbance of public peace and an act to commit serious felony by planning and putting all the plan in motion to obstruct traffic on the terminal line, to cause hardship for Lagosians and other Nigerians, and especially visitors who are transiting through this end. We will not allow this to happen. These are the equipment, and we ensure that we are closing on him anywhere he is. He should be aware that we are closing on him. Williams is doing video and he couldn't come down. Let him come down. He came down in Abuja. Why is he afraid to come down in Lagos? He should come down. He should come down. Well, wherever he is, he should report himself to the nearest police station. Because I'm going to arrest him and investigate him and prosecute him. Thank you. We have made 13 arrests of this miscreant and hoodlum because there's no any reason why this protest must take place. The people who are concerned, who are residents of Orosoki, have been paid compensation by government for those who deserve, who entitled rather to the compensation they belong. And the people have remained in peace and they've been living in peace in the community. But it's coming to Lagos to instigate crisis, to instigate violence will not be tolerated. And I want all Lagosians to still go about their lawful businesses without any fear or apprehension. Let him come down, let him put his leg on ground. He's riding in a vehicle and he's making video that police have covered everywhere and he can't come down. It's the same way police cover everywhere that I came down in Abuja. Let him come down here and you will see the wrath of the law that will equally be enforced on him.
So we're just coming from Orosoki. By the time we got there, the police had attacked peaceful protesters whom they demolished their houses in Orosoki area of Lagos. And I think they had intelligence that I was approaching the place. As you see, captured, they were just tear gassing them, and they brought in more reinforcement. All of them were carrying lethal weapons. This is what we're talking about Nigeria at this time. The police that ought to be protecting the citizens of Nigeria are busy chasing after and attacking innocent civilians, people who they don't build houses for, people they do nothing for. They're attacking them, and this is what you just watched live on my timeline now. So we couldn't enter the community. The whole place is barricaded. These are some of the demolitions that they've carried out, and they relate to homes of poor people. This is where the poor people have managed to run after the rich people drove them away from Makoko and other places. We were told that the IGP, the illegal IGP, actually embedded in the police team today people who could shoot and kill me if I showed up, but I still went there regardless. This is intelligence I had. So right now we'll be monitoring events as they're happening, and time permitting we'll return back to that community. We must fight for these people and ensure that they get what is theirs back. We cannot leave this country in the hands of criminals to keep exploiting the poor. That is what got us into where we are today. That is what led to what America decided could be their intervention, because they've seen weak and terrible leadership in Nigeria. They know that these guys don't mean well for Nigerians, but that doesn't mean that America mean well for Nigerians. They're just taking advantage of the weakness in the leaders. Some of them have encouraged, because if you look at it, the same Americans come here, witness shambolic elections. They go and hold their press conferences in DC and say, well, the elections are not that good, but they're not that. These are the elections that produce these weak and inhuman leaders in our country. We must ensure that we fight these people to a standstill. That's my position, that you do not ask for outside help each time you have a small problem. That is what led a lot of Africans into religion. They're always praying to something. They're always worshiping. Each time there's a problem, you go and worship something. Worship a stone. Worship, the picture of a foreign god, or, a religion that you know nothing about. And I'm not here to attack your freedom of worship or religion, but I'm telling you that it's part of our weakness. And when the people you're expecting to come and help you from nowhere don't come, you start looking for help. You're always looking for help. That's the problem with Africans. Instead of us to stand up against our traducers here, fight them to a standstill. Oh, we want America to come in. America will come in, shoot a few places, drop a few bombs, drones, and that's all, right? That's all. We move on again. And then maybe next time we're going to beg Russia to come and help us. We're going to beg China to come, North Korea to come and help us. But nobody but ourselves can free ourselves. And that is what you just saying. A community of poor people. These guys have nothing, not a cloth on their back. All the police, Nigeria police does is to chase after them on behalf of private investors. Private investors, those are the people who are stealing their land.
For Trump.
Everybody said, oh, Trump didn't pay tax. Like, forget about it. It's not his fault. It's the tax people that didn't collect tax. Oh, he touched a woman in her property. It's like, what's your problem? That's not even his type. You say, oh, he is a racist. Like, well, why did you go rent a house where you can't afford to pay for it? You say, he doesn't care about, black people. And like, hey, what do you want him to do? Is he black? You say, he doesn't like people, with different sexual orientations. You say, oh, if he does, would he be sleeping with one of them? So, and they got away with that and brought him back. And he's back now, doing exactly what I've always wanted him to do, which is to shut down the U.S. that pretends to be friendly towards human rights and become a nation of supremacists.
I mean, I disagree with you on Trump, but if we have time, we'll come back to it eventually.
But see, that's the problem with some of you. It's the problem with some of you is that you will not like you will hate your own Trump, but embrace the Trump of America.
I'm a nationalist. I think it is okay for Americans to be nationalists. There's nothing wrong with loving your country.
No, it's but the question you should ask yourself: is this what Americans want?
But that's what
because we're just discussing here.
He's president, so that means America wants that.
No,
Trump is president, so that means
you can be president of any country and not have. Circumstances bring about presidents in any country that are not just about elections.
Well, according to exit polls, immigration and inflation played a critical role in Trump's victory.
So why are they not playing any critical role now that food prices have still remained?
No, but they're coming down. Petrol prices I don't know. I don't live in this state. But I'm talking of what I see on Twitter.
So Twitter doesn't pay for food.
Well, when people show on X the price of fuel under Biden and the price of fuel under Trump, I think that's a fact, right? That is coming down under Trump.
No. It's what you see on X these days is how Elon Musk feels.
This information.
That's you've talked about it.
No, I don't think it's what Elon Musk feels. I mean, Twitter is quite open these days. It's quite open. It's quite under Jack Dorsey. Under Musk is much more open.
No. I think when you get to another 4 years, you reverse some of your position.
No, really. I
don't even think it will last 4 years before.
No, really.
Because Americans are already, reversing position on what he thought was going to bring for them.
Doge is still very popular. I mean, I'm an outsider. You would know better about your superior knowledge on it.
It is not
America,
supreme knowledge. It is true because I just came back from the US.
Yeah, perhaps that's what I'm saying.
But I also probably read more than X.
I do agree because I've not been there. I'm only speaking as an outsider. And for me, I look at Trump and there are things that I love about him. Not just things, many things I love about him that I feel like if as a Nigerian, if we can have some of that in Nigeria.
That's what somebody said to me, that this is an American white person, that Nigerians outside of the US love Trump the most, outside of his US supporters. Said outside of the US, I think Russians like Trump the most outside of the US. But I think a good number of Nigerians are in love with Trump. And I think it stems from our colonial days.
Not really.
We've always loved things that are esoteric in nature.
Not really. Like for me, I'm a political student. Like I study politics and I love politics. I don't look at things the way you say the average guy in the street looks at things. I look at things quite.
But I think
and I ask myself, right? Do I like the transgender ideology in my schools? I don't like it. That's what the left pushes.
No, but see, but that's what so that's what you are presented with.
No, but that's a fact.
So that you can
even in the UK,
you
right?
can arrive at certain conclusions.
But even in the UK, right? Like people say, when America sneezes, the world catches a cold, right? All this nonsense you see happening in America, bit by bit, the world flows into the whole world. In the UK, kids of 7 years old are being taught homosexuality.
Yeah,
in schools. Is that what I want in my school? No, I don't want that. In my
that's an aspect of.
No, but it's one of so many things that the left does that is wrong.
But you also would agree with me, that kids who are learning what you said you don't like, homosexuality, are not a problem in reality. It's better, but what about the kids? What about the kids that are being wiped out in Gaza?
No, of course.
Even those ones are not homosexuals.
So
what I'm saying is that you are presented with options that can rile you up.
Like I said,
whereas America also does like
I'm quite subjective. This is the one issue I disagree with Trump.
But I think those issues should be left with their society to address.
Yeah, of course.
But the ones that affects us as members of this global community where America is a policeman. We should be free to discuss it and not accept our.
Who made America the policeman, though? This is the thing I don't.
No,
like.
Did
God wake up and say,
"Let us make America"? Of course,
I don't like this idea of America being.
America was made.
For us. America
was made the policeman of the world
after World War II.
Because they have superior firepower.
Yeah, post World War II.
That's what makes people.
Yeah, but thank God they're losing it now. We no longer live in a unipolar world. We live in a multipolar world now.
We don't know yet.
No, but we are. We do.
So
the facts bear it out.
So that's something that we should discuss more about.
But do you like it though? Let's talk about this now. Now we're talking about. Do you like the fact we live in a multipolar world today?
Oh, that's always been my dream.
Exactly.
My whole Pan-Africanism is an Africa that is not a pushover.
Perfect.
In the scheme of things globally. Yes. That's exactly why I'm not only sticking out my neck for a Nigeria that is powerful, but an Africa that's united, prosperous, and also powerful. I don't like a unipolar world.
Exactly.
A unipolar world is too cold for me.
Too risky, too dangerous.
Yes. So, and I've been in a world that's been mostly unipolar my entire life.
Yeah, we have. Yeah. Up to 2016, 2017, we're in a unipolar world.
I participated in second slavery, so I know what it is. Voluntary.
But I think we all should be happy as Africans that we live in a multipolar world now, because when America was
the unipolar world you are living in,
the multipolar world,
yes, it's still a place where Africa is a minor player. So Africans can only benefit from multipolar words or bipolar word. Bipolar is an operating word.
Yeah, that was
bipolar word is the one that we were in when the
Soviet
Russians
Union and America.
We were just being subjected to mood swings between two power blocks, the East Bloc and the West Bloc. And we're somehow back to it now, but in a more stylish way. You understand? So what we call a multipolar world is still a bipolar world in which there are other players, multinationals.
But I think what Africa didn't have before that Africa has now is, look at what Tinubu said when Tinubu when he was elected. Tinubu was asked by I didn't see, but I read it on papers that he was asked by the journalist why America wasn't keen on congratulating him when he won. If you remember, they kind of waited. The British immediately congratulated Tinubu. The French did the same, but America was kind of cold feet towards his election, and he was asked, "What does he think?" And Tinubu was like, "If they don't, he will just go to the Chinese." An African president would never, a president of an African country will never speak that way in the past. That you will say.
But what has that brought to you?
No, but the point I'm making is, I'm not trying
so you
to
are
justify.
saying that what I'm trying to tell you is that if you're a student of history,
yeah,
that has always been there.
No, not really. Not really.
No,
they could,
it was worse.
No, America could do what
Africa
what
was
did
the testing ground for this bipolar
there was
agenda.
no option. There was no option.
That's why there was war in Angola.
No, but the point
in
is,
Mozambique.
The point I'm making
that was why apartheid lasted for long.
The point I'm making is you had no
and
option.
There was always been a Chama Mao that Africans went to.
Yeah.
It was the reason why this man was overthrown in Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah,
because he didn't listen to Americans, even though he went to American university.
I didn't mention Russia. I mentioned China.
No.
Sorry, Tinubu mentioned China.
Yeah.
He didn't mention Russia.
I'm telling you that there used to be an East Bloc made up of China and the USSR.
That was more
of which the USSR was the biggest power.
Yeah, but
they've always been around. And Africa has always been a place where they play. And I'm just warning you.
Yeah.
And advising. Well, not let me use the word warning. But I'm advising that you are cautious about the optimism that what is playing out now is a multipolar world in which the African continent is benefiting. No. The African continent will benefit from a multipolar world when Africa has the capacity and the resources to produce and to create wealth, prosperity, and unite. So until that happens, until Africa itself as a continent becomes a China,
but
or an American, or America as it is, or even Canada, this idea that we are in some kind of multipolar world in which we are benefiting because people are constructing highways for us, which we should be doing ourselves, or helping us to get loans, which then puts us back into a bind, is not the multipolar world that we should be proud of.
Two things can be true at the same time. Every continent or every country needs help.
No, I'm trying to tell you is that it happened before.
No, I do agree. I see the points you're making, but the point I'm also making is the African continent needs help. Needs technology.
The Africans didn't need help. No, but Africans put themselves in a situation where they were walking around with begging bowls.
The technology that we
instead of creating
the tech that we need
the
to
value,
make Africa.
And adding the value that could have made Africa a competitor. It was while Africa was sleeping with all these crazy leaders that Japan rose from ashes after the Second World War. Brazil, India, So until the continent of Africa is able to also produce its own nuclear weapons or have it.
We don't even need it really.
When you say nuclear weapons, you are not talking about how to kill other people. It also might be nuclear power.
Energy, nuclear energy.
Give you nuclear energy. What I'm saying is that the competition that you want is not a competition of whose bowl is biggest. That is why the conversation about USAID is of importance to some people, because Africa has been reduced to this continent that is waiting for USAID to create jobs for their doctors and nurses. And it's easy to say, USAID is funding Boko Haram and all that, and we should stop giving money to Africa. But the person who is advancing it is one of the biggest defense contractors in the US, Elon Musk. If you know how much he makes every day for everything that he throws up in the air, you'll be shocked. So, but it's easy because Africa is not a player, Even Saudi Arabia as a country is treated with better respect than Africa.
Because Saudi Arabia is a developed country.
Exactly. So if you don't get there,
Yeah, I think we're both saying the same
so
thing.
yes,
but
if you don't get there,
Yeah.
and it's just about the size of your begging bowl,
Yeah,
you're begging for technology, begging for AIDS,
Yeah.
begging for science, you're begging for teachers, you're begging for nurses, you're begging for food, you are begging for even sexual protection, condoms.
Yeah.
So you're not there. And
Yeah.
until we have that concrete conversation about an Africa Renaissance that's not just about buzzwords.
The point I'm making is, and I get the view you're advancing, but the point I'm making is, in a multipolar world, when we were in a unipolar world, America could do whatever she liked. The six countries America defeated in the past, Libya, Somalia, Iraq, Afghanistan, all those countries that she went to war against, that was in a unipolar world. In the world of today, America cannot do that. America cannot just say, let's go through and take away Gaddafi. She can't do that today.
Yeah,
because
sure?
we didn't. In a multiple, I mean,
because
Trump, who I love, tried to do that in Venezuela in his first time. He couldn't do it in Venezuela.
No, because
he couldn't take away Maduro.
Yes, I'm sure you say you love Trump.
No, but that's the point
and
I'm making. Right? In a multipolar world,
so even
America cannot
even in a
do
unipolar world, there are places they couldn't defeat.
No, but look at what they did in Libya. In a unipolar world, Libya fell.
Let me remind you.
Afghanistan fell. All
Cuba
these countries
is
fell.
90 miles from the U.S. Why couldn't they defeat Cuba?
Yeah, but we are talking of. I mean, this is.
No, I'm giving you an example.
No, we are comparing.
They didn't succeed everywhere.
We are comparing apples to oranges. Of course, they're not going to succeed everybody. The point is,
so
they succeeded in these other cases.
I'm telling you that America has advanced enough today not to need to even go to Libya to kill Gaddafi.
You and I know there is an ongoing conversation about going to war against Iran. You and I know that, right? Iran is the next country, right?
Yeah. The conclusion we need to make.
Yeah.
You may not accept.
Yeah.
Is that the overly optimistic
it's not
position that somehow Africa is benefiting from a multipolar disagreement amongst the world is not.
No, at least we have options. That's the point I'm making.
Which options do you have? To go and beg from China?
Not really beg.
And then
even the Chinese had to beg at some point.
That's the point.
The Chinese had to beg at some point. They're not going to beg now.
They're not begging.
No, but the Chinese had to beg.
2025.
No, but I
so
of course, is the point.
If you all started at the same time, a country like Nigeria was paying salaries of workers in Cuba. They're providing electricity to several West African countries. 2025, they can't refine their oil.
Yeah.
So what are we benefiting
I think
from?
we are both saying the point I'm making is
probably maybe we should agree that we're saying the same thing.
No.
Except
let's talk about.
I am not a Trumpite.
No, of course. I've always known that. But the point before we went on this detail, let's just finish and put a pin to this part of our talk. I never even this was not part of my question, but since we entered this, I wanted us to continue. The point I'm making is every continent needs help. The Chinese after their 100 years of humiliation needed help as well from America. When Bill Clinton accepted the Chinese into WTO, I'm sure you know this history. China became what it became today. So at some point, the Chinese in their transition after communism and everything needed the help of the Americans. So every country needs help. Africa finds itself in this stage of its development where it needs the help of another power to help her become what she needs to become. If we have smart leaders, they will make use of that help, develop the continent, develop the country, take the loans, take the funds, build the best roads, build the best schools, build the best hospitals, get the technology that we need, the 5D, the 4D, whatever we need to develop, the ships, whatever we need to develop our continent, we'll bring it down here. And at some point become the China that China is today. But every continent, every country needs that help. What wasn't happening before was America was not willing to give that to Africa. All America did was use USAID, which we're going to talk about since you mentioned it, to overthrow countries and to funnel funds to this and this. But yes, they did some good by providing antiretroviral drugs to those with HIV and AIDS. But the point is, the Chinese, compared to America,
I don't want you to
compared to America,
the impression or
the
conclusion you are making that, I'm not defending USAID. So that when we get there,
let's talk about USAID now.
So, but what I don't want you to get away with is the position that somehow your love for a multipolar world is going to somehow resolve the illusion
No, that's not.
that
Yeah,
Africa has no option except it produces, except it prospers, except it's self-sustaining after self-realization and evaluation.
Yep.
So nothing solves the problem. If it is just to increase the size of our begging bowls,
Not really. I mean, I
of
think.
course you get more aid,
Yeah. No, I think
more arms, but no progress.
Yeah, I think for me, multipolar world, of course, it has its own disadvantages, but the point is, at least Africans can look
Nobody's
elsewhere.
going to be an island in a world like
Africa
this.
can
I
look-
understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah.
No,
but
I see the points you're making. Let's talk about, you mentioned USAID. For me, one of the things I didn't like about the whole conversation with USAID was it seemed as if lots of Nigerians were taking away the agency of our leaders when it came to USAID. Some Nigerians are making this argument that because of USAID, Nigeria is where it is today. And for me, I feel like our leaders also have responsibility and agency when it comes to where Nigeria is today. Regardless of whatever USAID is or didn't do, I do agree. You can't not see the facts and be like, USAID did not do lots of bad things. Of course, they did lots of wrongs in Nigeria and Africa. But the point still remains that our leaders still have agency. They could have built the roads. They could have built the hospital. They could have done all these things that they should have done. But I think many Nigerians fell into this trap of America, USAID is the root of all evil. Once you take it away, everything gets solved. And I don't think that's the right answer.
Also, what I noticed when the argument was happening is that it was a defining moment for African Trumpists. They say, yes, we don't need aid, and all that. And I agree, we don't need aid. And the way Africans are treated is because of the kind of leaders Africans have tolerated. Because anybody who understands resources very well, you know that people who are giving you aid are taking, before they give you $100 million, they've taken $50 to $100 billion of your resources.
Nothing is free.
That is why the multinationals are doing better than the countries they are operating from on the continent of Africa, whether they are digging gold, oil, bauxite, or they are digging bitumen or diamonds. It is what Africans must realize. And I agree with you. I'm not even as mild as you. African leaders have been useless. That is why all these organizations that are bringing aid come to you, and it depends on who is there. Some of the agenda of these organizations are very direct. Some of them hate the fact that Africa is going to be very populated, and out of this huge population might come some genie out of the bottle, and they want to stop it. They don't hide it. So the people that came to carry you away as slaves don't love you. And their children who are still excusing slavery don't love you either. But what is missing in that conversation is the excitement in which it was almost sounding like messianic, like, oh my God, Trump came to help Africa. See, he has frozen USAID. We love you. We love Elon Musk, not knowing that Elon Musk didn't like South African blacks. He wanted to use whatever he can to punish them. And it didn't take long before they started taking on South Africans. But the question you should ask yourself is that, so you hate USAID, which makes sense because of the bad they have done. But you also love people who feels that children in Gaza should be wiped out with the amount of money that goes to the state of Israel to do harm to Palestinians is nothing compared to what Africa is getting from USAID. So why is there no outrage that we're sending bombs to kill innocent Palestinians, but you're happy that USAID is taking money, which is fine. If Africa were to get it wrong, you should be sending money to some of them. Venezuela, which you mentioned earlier, the time I was in New York when Chavez was in power.
Hugo Chavez, yeah.
He used to send heating oil to a part of New York known as the Bronx.
Wow.
Yes, because they were doing so well. And America didn't like that. They went after him. To today, they can't explain why the guy had cancer. Which you can say is conspiracy theory. But countries like that are doing well, they never liked them. They didn't like Brazil. They created an uprising in Brazil through the guy who lost election to Lula. Bolsonaro, what is it? Bolsonaro.
Jair Bolsonaro.
And Bolsonaro. So when you have all these things, you understand the world order. But the world order cannot be devoid of reason. It should not be devoid of critical thinking.
Yeah.
That don't, because somebody sell a narrative to you, lose your sense to think that the reason they don't want to fund through USAID is because they love you. No, it is not. It is because they need to sell a narrative out there. That's a trap. And the way Nigerians took it, especially the people who were making the argument, then became very political. I think at that time it was, yes, USAID made Jonathan lose the election. So
yeah, that was one of the.
Let's go after everybody.
Yeah, that was
whose name has ever appeared on USAID.
I was so disappointed.
No, I wasn't disappointed because it is part of the kind of political conversation we've been having of how people were mutating over time in terms of Nigerian politics. Because they couldn't hide it. Eventually it came out. But ask yourself, why did the USAID story die down? Why suddenly are we not talking about it anymore? Who finally found out the holy grail that USAID wasn't? The issue was not USAID, but it was local politics being interwoven with the blackmail of, I think some people wanted to bring Jonathan back. And they felt like, let's use this. And then they came up with this USAID narrative that completely left out the world order as it is evolving now, driven by the USA new administration.
Yeah. But do you when obviously